Shlomi from Nasdaq here at the Open Cloud Summit in San Francisco. I'm joined now by the co-founder and CEO of JFrog, Shlomi Ben Haim. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So for those who are watching who might not be familiar, tell us about JFrog.
So JFrog is a company in the landscape of what we call DevOps. We are in the business of making software updates seamlessly happening on whatever edge, whatever device. We are promoting your build, your software release, your hosting, all the way from the developer to the edge nodes.
Absolutely. So how does this impact people on their daily life?
That's a perfect question. 10 years ago, I couldn't answer this question, like speaking about developers and developers' things and how it's related to our life. But I think that we all know by now that software is everywhere, and software became the competitive advantage of every organization. And our experience, our day-to-day experience, demands something else, demands a different experience. And if you use LinkedIn, or if you use Facebook, or if you use any kind of service, you just don't want to deal with the software update. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of roll back on the vendors and forcing them to be more competitive with the way that they are releasing software and updating software at the edge. This is what we do. So we make software updates seamless. We call it liquid software. Software update should just flow in the pipe from the developer to whatever end user. And if we will succeed, then you will have a completely different experience that you will not think about version. You will just use the software like you don't. I guess you don't know what version you use when you use Facebook or LinkedIn.
So it's almost better that people are unaware of you guys working on the updates, because that's the optimal.
That's what the next generation expect. I just want to use something that is updated. Don't let me hassle with the software updates. And that was, a pain of developers 10 years ago. Today, every user everywhere in the world, when you use your iPhone or your Tesla or your Apple TV, you expect it to be updated and function.
Absolutely. So let's talk about market opportunity. How big is it for you guys?
Wow. So the Gartner and the Forrester of the world, they will box DevOps in the $22 to $25 billion addressable market. When we are looking at it and you multiply the number of developers that is just growing times the number of devices that all of us have, several of them on every given moment, on any given moment, and the number of application per device, for us, it's limitless. It's a very big market.
That's very exciting.
It is.
So we're here at the Open Cloud Summit, obviously, and we're talking about how open source and cloud-native software is reshaping the modern IT stack. So how far along do you think we are in terms of adoption?
That's a very interesting question, because I think that when we put together open source and cloud native, it's a completely two different journeys. Mm-hmm. Open source is here. It's here to stay. The amount of software we have in the world, how fast you should build and release, what the market is already practiced with. Open source is adopted, according to researchers, in more than 90% of the market. Everybody's open to it. It doesn't matter if you're a bank or if you are a small startup. So open source is in a very, very mature place. And we heard Red Hat speaking about it and MongoDB speaking about it. There are public companies now that are based on open source model. I think it's a fact. Mm-hmm. Cloud native, however, is something quite new. And while every CIO will speak about it in the board meeting and will say 3 times a day Kubernetes and 3 times a day cloud native, we still see the adoption happening. So this is just climbing now, changing as we speak, new technologies, new tools to support a better and faster software release processes and software deployment processes.
Fantastic. So how do you balance the difference between creating short and long-term value?
As an entrepreneur and as a co-founder, we just completed our first decade. We founded JFrog 10 years ago when, DevOps was not a phrase yet. what we did, we didn't even disrupted the market with the technology to just replace another technology. We came with a new methodology of managing software and software releases in a different way. And I think that the secret sauce of JFrog's success was in the fact that we were focusing on the pain. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is a long-term value. When you listen first, you are not trying to educate your community, you are not trying to educate your customers, you just provide them with a pain solver, then your company will succeed. If it's not the pain, if you are focusing on a trend, or if it's just something that now everybody's kind of quoting, every company wants to be a DevOps company, it used to be every company is a software company, I think that this is temporary. But if you're focusing on the pain, then you are not just having a customer on the other side, you have a partner, you have a friend, you have a community.
That's so perfectly put, and I love the concept of listening first. And I wonder what advice you would give to entrepreneurs who are looking to build a company in this space. Would it be listen first?
Well, listen first is an advice that I will also give my daughters. But, I would say that, especially these days, that the world of software is being changed like on a weekly basis. I think that entrepreneurs should also be very responsible, not just to their shareholders, but also to their employees and the community and their customers. And while I'm thinking about responsibility of an entrepreneur, I think that a lot of time I see the open source, the rise of open source, kind of blind entrepreneurs with running after popularity and community and counting downloads and not building a business. Mm. When you start a company, you should acknowledge the fact that you build a business. It can be powered by the technology, it can be powered by the solution, it can be powered by the community, but you first build the business. And when you are being invested deep into this story, you have to build it together. You cannot just build something and then you will catch up with the rest. You build it together. So my advice to these entrepreneurs, make sure that whatever you do, you build the business alongside with the technology. Invest a lot in the technology. Make sure that you are a good listener and a pain solver, but make sure that you also build a business so the outcome to your employees, to your shareholders, to your customers will be solid and not just temporary.
Beautiful. What a perfect note to end it on. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me.
Thank you for having me.
Emily Jury coming to you from NASDAQ at the Open Cloud Summit. Thanks for joining us.